Okay, so let's just unpack this right out of the gate. If you are listening to this right now, I really want you to take a second.
Yeah.
Just stop what you're doing for a moment. Put down the coffee, pause the treadmill, look up from your phone. Now look at the calendar on your wall or check your watch. Do you feel that?
It is incredibly heavy.
It's heavy. The air is it's incredibly heavy today.
So it feels like the barometer just completely dropped in the studio. And for good reason, right? Because today is Friday, February 27th, 2026.
We are officially in the single digits here. We are exactly 1 day away.
Tomorrow.
Less than 24 hours away from the premiere of the Netflix spinoff, Famous Singers Need a Hit Song, which drops tomorrow, the 28th. We are sitting in what honestly feels like the eye of the hurricane right now.
That is the perfect metaphor, the eye of the hurricane. Because if you really think about it, the competition phase, Sing Again 4, is done. The storm of the tournament has totally passed. The confetti has been swept up from the stage. The trophies are sitting on a shelf somewhere, gathering dust. The tears have dried well, the on-camera tears anyway. And the screaming fans have all gone home.
Exactly. And now we just have this silence, this brutal, expectant silence. And that brings us to the mission for this deep dive. We are calling this the pre-premiere dossier.
Right. Because the contestants are facing the absolute most dangerous transition in the entire music industry. They have to go from winning a shiny trophy on a brightly lit TV stage to, actually earning a living on a streaming platform. We say this all the time on this deep dive, but that transition is a graveyard.
It is a total graveyard.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so easy to win a TV show compared to building a 20-year career.
Yeah.
The history books of reality TV are just filled with people who won the night but completely lost the decade.
Precisely. Because winning is a visual spectacle, right? It's about narrative, it's about the lights, the costume changes, the moment where the confetti cannon fires. But a real career, that is an audio necessity.
Audio necessity.
Yeah, it's about being the soundtrack to someone's life when the cameras aren't rolling.
I love that distinction. Visual spectacle versus audio necessity. It's kind of like the difference between being a firework and a light bulb.
Oh, I like that. Explain that for the listeners.
Well, a firework is bright, it's loud, exciting, and everyone looks up at it and goes, you know what, oh well. But it's gone in a second. It just leaves smoke and then darkness. But a light bulb.
It's just there.
Right. It's boring, maybe, but it's essential. You turn it on every single day. You rely on it to see. You don't applaud a light bulb, but you absolutely need it.
That's it. That is the exact challenge Gwyn Dorado faces starting tomorrow. She has to move from, oh, I watched that and it was cool, to, I need to hear that again right now on my phone. She has to become a utility in your life.
So to prepare you for this premiere, we are synthesizing all the intelligence we've gathered. We're talking the math, the producer profiles, cultural analysis, and some breaking news that dropped just this past Monday. This is your briefing on the invisible mechanics moving the plot before you hit play tomorrow.
Let's start at the beginning, because we need to rewind the tape a bit for anyone who might be joining late. We need to look at the focal point of the show, Gwyn Dorado, but we aren't just looking at her as a celebrity. We need to view her as a musical organism.
We need to look at her hardware.
Exactly, her evolutionary path. Like, how did she get here? What makes her biological instrument work the way it does? And in our research notes, we coined a term for her origin story.
YouTube University.
YouTube University.
I love this concept. Because Gwyn Dorado didn't learn to sing in a traditional church choir where you just blend in with 40 other people in robes.
Right. And she didn't go to a strict classical conservatory where a professor hits your knuckles with a ruler if your posture is wrong or if you don't breathe from the diaphragm correctly. She didn't have that formal, rigid indoctrination.
No. She learned by mimicking vocalists pixel by pixel from a computer monitor. She was essentially downloading data.
Think about what that actually looks like in practice. Just a young girl sitting in her bedroom, face glowing from the screen, watching a video of Beyoncé or Ariana Grande in 4K resolution. She isn't just listening. She is mimicking everything, the exact shape of the mouth on the high notes.
The tension in the neck.
Yes, the specific vowel placement, the intake of breath. She was reverse engineering the sound by copying the physical mechanics she saw on screen.
It's literally like machine learning. She was training her own neural network.
That is exactly what it is. And because she started this so young, during those critical developmental years, it created a very specific kind of neuroplasticity in her brain and vocal cords.
A neuroplasticity. That sounds super scientific for a music show. Break that down for us. What does that actually mean for the listener?
It just means her vocal cords and her auditory processing centers are highly adaptable. Look, most singers have a voice, right? They sound like themselves. If you hear Adele, you immediately know it's Adele. She has a signature timbre. You can't mistake it.
Right. But Gwyn Dorado has a library.
She can shift her vocal texture from a massive, resonant Whitney Houston power ballad to a tight, nasal, rhythmic Doja Cat flow as easily as you or I would change a jacket. She is a vocal shapeshifter.
She can code switch musically. And that adaptability is her greatest weapon. It allows her to fit into almost any genre. But, and here's the catch, it is also the source of the danger she faces right now.
The lack of identity. If you can be anyone, who are you really? That's the danger. She has the hardware, but what is her actual operating system?
Now, before we get into the heavy math of the producer she's working with, we need to make some corrections. The community has been incredibly active, and we love that. But we need to set the record straight on a few things regarding the finale of Sing Again 4.
Accuracy is everything here. The first correction, and this is a big one, concerns replacement. Gwyn Dorado was technically the first runner-up. Lee Oh-wook was the actual winner.
Right. But we really need to clarify why losing that final spot might actually be the winning lottery ticket for her. We call it the Adam Lambert effect, or the Jennifer Hudson effect.
It's the strategic advantage of coming in second. Think about the obligations. When you win the trophy, you wear the corporate crown. And let me tell you, that crown is heavy. You become the official ambassador for the network. You are the face of the franchise. You have to play it safe.
You're usually forced to release the winner's single, which is almost always this generic, inspirational, sweeping ballad designed to offend absolutely no one. It's music for grandmothers and toddlers.
Exactly. You can't take risks because you represent the brand. But the runner-up gets the redemption arc. The narrative changes from a period she won to an exclamation point.
She was robbed.
She was robbed. And that narrative is incredibly powerful.
It is so powerful on social media. She was robbed is basically a call to action. It gets people fired up. It makes fans want to fight for her. They stream harder to prove the judge is wrong.
And it gives her creative freedom that the winner often just doesn't have. She isn't locked into that corporate ambassador role. She can experiment. So entering this new Netflix show, she actually has way more momentum and significantly less corporate baggage than the person who technically beat her.
Okay, correction number 2. And this is for all you data nerds listening. We need to talk about the finale score analysis.
This was a great catch by our listeners, by the way. We re-examined the finale scores. Gwyn Dorado performed 2 songs, I Want You, which was a traditional ballad, and Light Up, which was a modern R&B and pop track produced by Groovy Room.
And the scores were crazy close. Light Up scored 799. I Want You scored 798.
It's literally a single point difference.
Well, in data analysis, especially in the music industry, that single point is a smoking gun.
Why is it a smoking gun? To the average person, it's just 1 point out of 800.
Because I Want You To. The ballad was her home turf. That is what she's known for. Everyone expected her to crush it. It was the safe, undeniable bet. But Light Up, that was modern commercial pop. It required rhythm, attitude, a totally different kind of vocal placement.
It was a massive risk.
A huge risk. And the fact that the judges, who are the industry gatekeepers, remember, scored the risky pop track higher, even by just 1 single point, is a massive green light. It means they see her commercial viability as a modern pop star, not just a legacy ballad singer. The industry wants her to be trendy and fast, not just slow and traditional.
Okay, correction number 3. And this is the big debate sweeping the forums right now. Live versus studio.
The too clean complaint.
Right. Listeners feel the studio reasons of her songs on Spotify are too sterile compared to the live TV performance. Walk us through the technical side of this. What are these audio engineers actually doing?
They're using the modern pop toolkit. They use Melodyne to pitch correct every single note to a strict mathematical grid. So if she's 2% sharp on a high note because of adrenaline, fixed. They use de-essers to remove sharp S sounds. They use heavy compression to make a whisper as loud as a shout.
They iron out all the wrinkles.
They do. But for a listener, the wrinkle is the emotion. When a singer's voice wobbles because they're crying, or when they run out of breath because they're pushing their diaphragm to the absolute physical limit, that is the struggle. The struggle is what creates the emotional connection.
So by removing the struggle, they fall into the uncanny valley. It sounds mathematically perfect, but it feels emotionally dead.
Exactly. The central challenge for this Netflix show, going into tomorrow's premiere, is this. Can they make a radio-ready record without deleting the human error? Can they keep the blood on the tracks?
Keep the blood on the tracks. That is the key phrase. And speaking of blood and visceral emotion, let's pivot to the cultural analysis piece of this dossier. We've been tracking a fascinating debate in the comments between two very specific concepts, Korean Han and Filipino Hugot.
This has been intellectually stimulating to watch. We have listeners actively debating deep cultural theory in the comments section.
Let's define them for the audience so everyone is on the same page. Now, we are just looking at the source material here to explain these concepts, so we are keeping this entirely strictly to the definitions provided. What is the difference?
Okay, so Han is a specifically Korean concept. It is complex, but it generally refers to a deep-seated passive sorrow, resentment, grief, historical trauma. It is internal, it's quiet, it's about endurance. It's described like a heavy stone sitting in your gut.
So Han is about holding it in, bearing the weight of the world silently.
Right. Now, Hugot spelled Hugot, but pronounced Hugot is the Filipino concept. It is fiercely active. The word literally translates to pulling out. It is the visceral, gut-wrenching act of dragging pain into the light. You are using the pain rather than just quietly enduring it.
One is a stone you carry, the other is a knife you actively pull out.
Very vivid image, but yeah,
That's
accurate.
Pena.
The synthesis here, and why this matters for tomorrow, is that Gwyn Dorado acts as a bridge. She uses the active mechanics of Hugot, that dramatic pulling vocal sensation, to express the crushing weight of Han.
She pulls the sorrow out so we can all look at it together, which totally resonates with the Korean audience's sense of Han, but she does it with the raw, performative intensity of Hugot.
The fear, though, and this is what we have to watch for in the episodes, is whether the Korean producers will truly understand this nuance. Will they try to force her into a box of quiet restraint? Or will they let her keep that active, messy release?
That is the perfect transition to the main event of our dossier, the producers.
The math.
The math. We have 6 potential pairings, and we've calculated a win score for each. Basically, a probability of success based on their styles. Let's run the board, starting from the bottom.
All right, producer number 1, Kim Jong-won. We gave this pairing a win score of 0.72.
Now, he is from the band Nell. He is known as the architect of mood. And Nell is basically indie royalty in Korea. So why the low score?
It's not about quality at all. It's strictly about time. Kim Jong-won creates these massive, cinematic, sci-fi blockbuster sounds. We are talking delay-drenched guitars, huge synth fog, incredibly expensive-sounding atmosphere.
Yeah, his tracks sound huge.
But his songs often have 45-second instrumental intros.
Oh, yeah.
And in the TikTok era, where you have maybe 3 seconds to hook a listener before they swipe, a 45-second intro is just commercial suicide.
Exactly. The verdict on him is high art, but low virality. Working with him builds a legacy, it gets you critical respect, but it does not build a streaming hit for a brand new solo artist.
Next up on the board, producer number 2, Car the Garden. Win score, 0.80.
Car the Garden, he's the indie king. The strategy here is what we call beautiful scars. His style is very lo-fi, gritty, dusty garage sound. He loves imperfections.
But remember what we said about Gwyn Dorado earlier. She is high definition. Her voice is crystal clear.
That's the huge risk. It's a massive sonic contrast. Best case scenario, the friction creates magic, like Radiohead's Creep.
Right.
Worst case scenario, it's a confusing mess where Car the Garden's fans think it's too polished, and her fans are alienated because it sounds poorly recorded. The verdict here is high risk, high reward. It's incredibly volatile.
Producer number 3, Yoon Jong-shin. We bumped the score up slightly to 0.83.
The ballad king. The core concept for him is identity compression.
Or public ownership.
Right, public ownership. His songs, like his massive track, become utilities. The public uses them in karaoke rooms to handle their own heartbreak.
So it's a safe domestic play.
It is the safest domestic play. If she goes with him, she is an instant household name in Korea. But the problem is the incredibly low global ceiling. His songs are lyrically dense short stories.
So without fluency in Korean, the listener misses almost all of the impact.
Exactly. 90% of the impact is in the wordplay. It's very, very hard to export globally because of that language barrier.
Now we're getting into the top tier. Producer number 4, Shanae. Score jumps up to 0.90.
Shanae, the bespoke tailor. She doesn't have a forced signature sound. Instead, she builds the house around the singer. She actively highlights quirks and cracks.
We talked about her work with the group Sodo earlier in our research.
Yes, Sodo. They do Joseon pop. It's this very niche mix of traditional Korean folk and modern pop. Shanae took that and made it commercially accessible.
Which is brilliant for Gwyn Dorado. Because Shanae wouldn't flatten the Hugot energy. She would frame it. It validates the artist. She tells the singer, you are enough.
The verdict is that it's high art and commercially friendly. It preserves the soul.
Okay. Producer number 5, Code Kunst. Score is a 0.91.
The Spatial Designer. He's the algorithmic master. His main technique is stripping away what we call vocal armor.
The volume, the reverb, the heavy backing tracks.
Yeah, he takes all of that away and forces vulnerability. He makes his artists whisper.
And he is wildly chart savvy. He is a master of the early chorus. He deeply understands the modern fractured attention span.
He really does. He uses these retention hacks, like he'll use production switches, just entirely flipping the beat halfway through the track to reset the listener's attention and stop them from skipping.
So the verdict there is, if Gwyn Dorado wants to crack the Billboard Global 200, Code Kunst basically has the mathematical keys to do it.
And finally, the top spot on our board, producer number 6, Zion.T. We gave him a 0.95 win score.
Zion.T, the architect of cool. This is what we call the velocity hit. His main strategy is radical subtraction.
It tells her she's doing too much.
Right. Remove the massive orchestra, ditch the giant gowns, just leave the dry vocals, some really tight drums, and a grooty bass line.
The key concept here is credibility arbitrage. He transfers his own effortless cool directly to her. He completely rebrands her from earnest TV contestant to trendy global artist.
It bridges the demographics perfectly. Older listeners love the coffee shop vibes, and Gen Z uses it for TikTok dance challenges. The verdict is that Zion.T is the smartest play for a massive global hit. He just makes her look effortless.
And in reality TV, there is always but we have a plot twist.
The Unity MT reveal. For those who missed it, breaking news, press releases, and photos dropped last Monday, February 23rd.
The vibe shift. Everyone's expectation for this show was dark studios, intense arguments, very Whiplash-style drama.
But the reality is a camping trip in the woods. The membership training.
Right. The photos showed the top 6 contestants, Gwyn Dorado, Lee Owook, the rest of them, and the mentors, all in matching tracksuits out in the woods playing games.
Why start a serious music production show with silly games?
Because the show is produced by Studio Slam. They are the creators of Culinary Class Wars, and they specialize in humanizing cast members.
So the games are actually a strategy.
Exactly. The games, like the karaoke battles or Scream in Silence, they test nonverbal communication and raw entertainment value. Or the of course game, which tests mental management under pressure.
So the real takeaway for the listeners watching tomorrow is that chemistry is the actual win score. You have to watch the body language between Gwyn Dorado and the producers.
Right. Watch her interactions with Zion.T at the campsite. Natural chemistry around a campfire translates to success in the recording booth.
So getting to our final thoughts here. The show is titled, Famous Singers Need a Hit Song.
But if you really look at it, it's about the soul. The core conflict is man versus machine.
Right. We know for a fact that producers like Code Kunst or Zion.T can mathematically engineer a viral hit. The algorithms prove it. But can they do it without deleting the artist's soul in the process?
Can they take this girl from YouTube University, polish her up, handle her Hugot energy, without scrubbing away the very thing that made the world fall in love with her in the first place?
That is the ultimate provocation.
It really is.
Well, we find out tomorrow, February 28th, so tune in. And while you watch, look for the glances. Pay attention to the subtle producer choices. Think about the math we talked about today.
And ask yourself, which pairing are you actually rooting for? Do you want the effortless cool of Zion.T, the bespoke soul of Anshanae, or the volatile, risky indie sound of Car the Garden?
It's going to be fascinating to watch it all unfold. See you on the other side of the premiere. Stay curious.